Is it possible to make it permanent?
Huh?
Is it possible to make it permanent ability?
No, I can check. I will check.
What if you make me permanent co-host? Would that work?
No, what you can do, Prabhu, is yeah, that's what I will check. Like permanent co-host.
Okay,
If there is a setting in the invitation itself,
correct. Yeah.
we have configured. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I.
Thanks, bro.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. So coming back, any questions or comments from last week? No? Okay. All right. So then let's start where we left off. Let me see if I can find the place.
Page 128.
Page 128. Thank you, Mother.
28.
Okay, that's great. There you go. Yeah. So somebody like to read?
Can I read?
Yes, Mother. Please go ahead. Yes, Mother. Please go ahead.
This development, ये ठीक रहेगा यहाँ
बिल्कुल
से?
ठीक है. हाँ, बिल्कुल ठीक है.
This development of conjugal love can be possible only with those who are already engaged in following the regulative principles of devotional service, specifically in the worship of Radha and Krishna in the temple. Such devotees gradually develop a spontaneous love for the deity, and by hearing of the Lord's exchange of love affairs with the gopis, they gradually become attracted to these pastimes. After this spontaneous attraction becomes highly developed, the devotee is placed in either of the above mentioned categories. और पढ़ूं दूसरा?
नहीं, रुकिए. So basically, the point that's being made here is that just because we're talking about conjugal love, it doesn't mean that only women can develop that mellow of conjugal love. And the point being explained is that the material body has nothing to do with the soul. It is soul that desires, not the material body. So therefore, a man or a woman can develop that desire. And it says that a woman may develop an attitude of becoming a friend, and a man may develop the feature of becoming a gopi. And then it gives the example of Padma Purana, where everybody knows the story about the sages Dandakaranya. They were attracted to Lord Ramchandra, and they desired to become women so they could embrace the Lord. And these sages appeared in Vrindavan, and it is stated that they actually participated in the Ras Leela, and they appeared as the daughters of the gopis in Vrindavan. So the point is that, yes, whether it's a man or a woman, that's irrelevant because the body is irrelevant. There's no such thing as material body in the spiritual world, and therefore it doesn't matter. Okay?
So इसको सहजिया नहीं कहते?
No, it's not sahajiya at all, because they develop the desire to love Krishna as a woman. They did not dress as a woman. They did not act like a woman. They said, my dear Lord, please allow us to be born as women so we may love you. So very different. Is the difference clear, Mataji? No. Nandapati Mataji, is the difference clear, what I'm saying? If not, then ask the question one more time.
Again.
Why do you think it is sahajiya? No. Why do you think
they dress like a woman?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So just 1 minute. Jaga. ये तुम्हारे पास ही कहीं होगी, because otherwise car cannot run. बस चाबी यहाँ पर भी नहीं है, घर पर भी नहीं है. एक मिनट, एक सेकंड. I'm sorry, just 1 minute. हाँ,
ठीक है.
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, I'm late. मेरी तरफ से सबको दंडवत प्रणाम.
हरे कृष्ण.
कृष्णा.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. What happened was I came from somewhere and she was on her way to the temple. I had the key in my car, and so she sat in the car and started driving. I'm not sure why the car ran all the way to the temple without the key. That's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But somehow it went all the way to the temple. On her way back, so anyway, she told her to get a taxi and come home. Anyway, I'm so sorry.
And leave the car there.
Yeah, leave the car there. What can you do?
Yeah.
अभी गाड़ी में तो नहीं चाबी है कहीं.
Sorry, पर दोनों चाबियां घर पे है.
घर पे हैं वो.
चाबी घर में है.
दोनों चाबियां घर पे हैं.
गाड़ी चल के चलेगी बिना चाबी के.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand that. It's supposed to.
Wonder of the world हो गया.
It's supposed to stop after like 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Yeah. First of all, it doesn't start even.
No, but this already started because I came from somewhere. She sat in the car.
Yeah.
So it's already started.
तो चल के गई वो ठीक.
कृष्णा का मैजिक हो गया.
हाँ, really.
तो जा सकते हैं प्रभु जी. चलती है तो चलती रहेगी.
अच्छा, maybe that's how it is.
स्टार्ट होगी तो हो गई. बस ठीक है. फिर चाबी हो या ना हो.
Okay. Anyway, so lesson learned.
Restart नहीं होती चाबी.
Sorry.
Next paragraph, shall I read, Prabhu?
Sorry, but I didn't hear.
Shall I read the next paragraph?
No, we haven't answered the question for Mother Nandapatni.
Okay.
So Nandapatni Mata, you're saying you think Sahajya because they dress as women.
Yeah.
But these people were not dressing as women. They were not acting like women. They were saying, make us women.
Oh.
So this is like next birth. That's what he said. So next birth, you come back as woman.
Oh. Yeah, then it's right.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you then. Okay, Prabhuji, you want to read the next paragraph?
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. This development.
Before we move, one question I have.
Prabhu, go ahead.
So here it's mentioned, Prabhupada says that the development of conjugal love can be possible by following the regulative principle, especially in the worship of Radha Krishna in the temple.
Sorry, Prabhu, where are you reading?
The first paragraph, that second, third line, where it says specifically in the worship of Radha Krishna in the temple, that development of conjugal love can be possible only with those who are already engaged in following the regulative principle.
Oh, you're way ahead.
नहीं, ये पहला पैराग्राफ जो मैंने पढ़ा है वो.
Development of conjugal love for Krishna not manifested women only. Material was nothing to do with the. One may develop, should become a man may develop.
No, just one paragraph before what you are reading.
Oh, so you're talking about before today's reading.
No, which I read the first one.
The development of conjugal love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so keep going.
development of conjugal can be possible only with those who are already engaged
Okay,
in
so
following the.
I'm not finding that paragraph.
It's a first paragraph on the page 128.
Okay, so it starts with this development of conjugal love.
Yes.
Okay, how
Yeah.
devotees, the form of man, can desire to become gopi, stated in Padma Purana. Nandika is the name of the forest where Lord Chandra had lived after banished. At that time, there were many advanced sages captivated by beauty.
I think this is second paragraph, a paragraph before this one.
Paragraph before what? Which one, Prabhu?
This one, whatever you are reading.
So that's the one that we did last week. That's what I'm asking you.
Oh, Mataji, okay, I don't know. Like she just read this one, that this development of conjugal love can be possible
Yeah.
with those who are
Oh, I'm
already.
sorry. So I was in the next paragraph. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got distracted by the phone call, so I didn't really hear what you were
Okay.
saying. Let me go back, Prabhu. My apologies. This development of conjugal love can be possible only with those who are already engaged in the following the regulative principles of devotional service, and specifically in the worship of Radha and Krishna in the temple. Such devotees gradually develop a spontaneous love for the deity, and by hearing the Lord's exchange of loving affairs with the gopis, they gradually become attracted to these pastimes. After spontaneous attraction becomes highly developed, the devotee is placed in either of the above mentioned categories. So what's the question, Prabhu?
So my question was like, based on this paragraph, it means the worship of Radha Krishna in the temple, amongst all the services, this is the one which attracts a devotee towards deities, and from there, the development of that spontaneous love arises.
Okay, so what's the question?
The question is, then in this age of Kali Yuga, then when we say that we are doing Harinam, so but the conjugal love here, sorry, this spontaneous love, I think Prabhupada is saying Harinam is important, but deity worship is equally important. Is that correct understanding, that one should be engaged in deity worship in the temple if one wants to arise like when that spontaneous love?
Okay, so don't mix a whole bunch of things. So let's take slowly one thing at a time.
Yes.
So first of all, as far as chanting is concerned, it is the recommended process.
Yes.
In the age of Kali. In the age of Kali, right? It's not a question of hierarchy. It is not that Shravanam is better than Kirtanam, Kirtanam is better than Smaranam, Smaranam is better than... No, it's not that. They're all equally powerful. So that's the first point. There's no hierarchy in the 9 processes of devotional service. Okay? Do you agree with that? Is that...
Agree.
Okay, so that's the first point. I'm just breaking it down. Second point, why do we do deity worship? Then if that's the recommended process and that's self-sufficient, why do we do deity worship? There are a number of reasons. One is the name is kind of abstract, hard to relate to a name, but a lot easier to relate to a deity which looks like us. So deity worship allows us to establish a better relationship with the Lord, whose name we are chanting. So that's the second point. Is that agreed?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Third point then. Third point. As we perform deity worship, because deity worship is a little more rigorous than chanting the holy name, in the sense that you need to take your shower, you need to have clean clothes, not stitched clothes if you are a man. You have to do certain mantras, and there's certain process you have to follow. There's an order that you have to follow, which means it requires discipline. With that discipline comes the purification of the consciousness. So in that sense, deity worship in the age of Kali is a support mechanism for chanting purely. I'm going to stop. Do you agree with me so far?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So now, Prabhupada is saying that some people, some devotees, as they perform the service for the deity, they develop that spontaneous love for the deity because they can relate to it. Like even us who don't have spontaneous love, we're proud to say, this is my Radha Chicho Gopinath. This is my Radha Govindji, or whatever the name of our deity is. We become attached to them. That may not be spontaneous love, but there's some degree of love there. I'm going to pause again. Do you agree with that?
Yes, yes, yes.
So what Prabhupada is saying is that some devotees can actually develop that spontaneous love for the deity. And when that happens, and as they hear Krishna Katha, Krishna Leela, especially Krishna Leela with the gopis, they become attracted to these loving pastimes which are of the conjugal affair. And then as that attraction becomes more developed, they start to follow in the footsteps of one of the gopis, and therefore they become Raganuga Bhaktas. Now, does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu.
And does that answer your question?
Right, it answers. Yes.
Okay, good.
So my only point was like sometimes in this age of Kali, in this age of Kali Yuga, we try to minimize the importance of deity worship, but this paragraph says that it's a supportive, as you are saying, it's supporting the Harinam.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. You understand that the thing we forget is that we are all chanting impurely. And we need to have processes, support mechanism in place to allow us to chant purely. Otherwise, the process is very slow. Yes, you don't need any other process. You can chant and chant and chant, and one day you will become pure. Because chanting itself is a purifying process. But the point is, if you want to expedite the process, sorry, Prabhu, I have to take a call again. Jago. Okay. Anyway.
Prabhuji, I have a question based on what you just explained. Prabhuji, can we put this funda on those people as well who are not the part of this Raga Anuga Bhakti, who are out of ISKCON? Like some people who, for instance, some people who believe in deity worship, not in Radha Krishna, but like Laddu Gopal. Can this happen to them slowly and gradually?
We'll talk about that, but the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later on. Okay, so Ashoka Prabhu, you're satisfied?
Yes, I'm satisfied. Yes.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. Anybody else? All right, then let's move.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so when we talk about the 9 processes of devotional service, we have heard many times that Shravanam, even from you, Shravanam is the most important one. Then how come you're saying today there is no hierarchy there?
No, so that's what I'm saying. We talk about most important in the sense of the recommended process. In the age of Kali, the deity worship is very difficult. We don't do deity worship properly. It's very, very difficult. So the recommended process is we're lazy. We're not very smart people, as described by Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Lord Chaitanya said, in this age of Kali, just chant. We are dirty. We are very messy people. We don't clean ourselves properly, either internally or externally. We like to take all sorts of shortcuts. You should see in the temple, people who come in, how dirty they are. They'll take the shoes off with their hands, not wash their hands. Some of them are sure they've eaten or drank, and they come in anyway. All sorts of things happen. Even those people who are going to the altar, they're not the cleanest people. I'm sorry to say that. So it is in that sense. Lord Chaitanya said, just chant.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Aapki voice ko kya ho gaya?
My voice is always because I speak too much. I must speak less.
Acha, okay.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Should we proceed or is there another question?
No, Prabhu. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next paragraph.
This development of conjugal love for Krishna is not manifested in women only, The material body has nothing to do with spiritual loving affair. A woman may develop an attitude for becoming a friend of Krishna, and similarly, a man may develop the feature of becoming a gopi in Vrindavan. How a devotee in the form of a man can desire to become a gopi is stated in Padam Puran as follows. In days gone by there were many sages in Dankarnya. Dankarnya is the name of the forest where Lord Ramchandra lived after being banished by his father for 14 years. At that time, there were many advanced sages who were captivated by the beauty of Lord Ramchandra and who desired to become women in order to embrace the Lord. Later on, these sages appeared in Golaka, Vrindavan, when Krishna advented himself there, and they were born as gopis or girlfriend of Krishna. In this way, they attained the perfection of spiritual life.
Okay, so I've already explained this one by mistake, thinking my mother had read this paragraph. So unless there's a question, we'll move to the next paragraph. Is there any question? Okay, somebody please read the next one. Wakey.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Can I read it?
Please, Prabhu, do that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. The story of the sages of the Dankaranya can be explained as follows. When Lord Ramchandra was residing in Dankaranya,
Prabhu,
the sages...
Am I lost today, or did we just read that part?
What's that?
The story of the sages. Did you not?
नहीं प्रभु नहीं पढ़ा ये वाला नहीं पढ़ा इससे पहले वाला पढ़ा.
Okay.
This is the next one.
Yeah, I'm really distracted. Okay, go ahead.
That's okay, Prabhuji. This is the next one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just reading again. The story of the sages of Dankaranya can be explained as follows. When Lord Ramchandra was residing in Dankaranya, the sages who were engaged in devotional service there became attracted by his beauty and immediately thought of the gopis in Vrindavan, who enjoyed conjugal loving affection with Krishna. In this instance, it is clear that the sages of Dankaranya desired conjugal love in the manner of the gopis, although they were well aware of the Supreme Lord as both Krishna and Lord Ramchandra. They knew that although Ramchandra was an ideal king and could not accept more than one wife, Lord Krishna, being the full-fledged personality of Godhead, could fulfill the desires of all of them in Vrindavan. These sages also concluded that the form of Lord Krishna is more attractive than that of Lord Ramchandra, and so they prayed to become gopis in their future lives to be associated with Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, so again, by mistake, I had covered this point also, but is there any question about this? Okay. Next paragraph, please.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please do.
Lord Ramchandra remained silent, and his silence shows that he accepted the prayers of the sages. Thus, they were blessed by the Lord Ramchandra to have association with Lord Krishna in their future lives. As a result of this benediction, they all took birth as women in the wombs of gopis at Gokula, and as they had desired in their previous life, they enjoyed the company of Lord Krishna, who was present at that time in Gokul Vrindavan. The perfection of their human form of life was thus achieved by their generating a transcendental sentiment to share conjugal love with Lord Krishna.
Right. Okay, very clear. So any questions about this one? Okay, let's go to the next paragraph.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please do.
Conjugal love is divided into two classifications, namely conjugal love as a husband and wife and conjugal love as lover and beloved. One who develops conjugal love for Krishna as a wife is promoted to Dwarka, where the devotee becomes the queen of the Lord. One who develops conjugal love for Krishna as a lover is promoted to Golok Vrindavan to associate with the gopis and enjoy loving affairs with Krishna there.
Right.
We should note carefully, however, that this conjugal love for Krishna, either as gopi or as queen, is not limited only to women. Even men can develop such sentiments, as was evidenced by the sages of Dandakaranya. If someone simply desires conjugal love, but does not follow in the footsteps of the gopis, he is promoted to association with the Lord at Dwarka.
Thank you. So, the Rupa Goswami is not describing that there are two types of conjugal love. One is called Swakiya, which is a wife's love for her husband. And other is called Parakiya, which is a lover who's not married to the man, her love for the man, or the other way around, a man's love for the woman. So, what was the mood between the Swakiya and Parakiya Bhav in Vrindavan? Anybody?
Parakiya Bhav.
Parakiya.
Parakiya Bhav.
And in Dwarka?
Swakiya.
Swakiya Bhav.
Swakiya. Yes, correct. Because in Dwarka, they were all his wives. He didn't have any affair with anyone outside of those 16,108 wives. Okay. So obviously, if a devotee is following in the footsteps of one of the wives, then he's practicing the Swakiya Bhav. And when they achieve perfection, where will they go? Dwarka Dham or Vrindavan?
Vrindavan.
No.
Dwarka Dham.
Dwarka Dham, because the following the footsteps of one of the wives. Similarly, if someone is practicing by following the footsteps of one of the gopis, where will they go?
Golok Vrindavan.
Golok Vrindavan, where they'll associate with the gopis and enjoy loving affairs with Krishna there. Okay. Want to read the next one? Paragraph?
मैं पढ़ूं, छोटा सा है.
हाँ, sure.
In the Mahakurma Puran, it's stated, great sages who were the sons of fire gods rigidly followed the regulative principles in their desire to have conjugal love for Krishna. As such, in their next life, they were able to associate with the Lord, the origin of all creation, who is known as Vasudeva or Krishna, and all of them got him as their husband.
So, anybody shocked at any statement in this paragraph? It answers the question, who were these 16,000 girls who got a chance to marry Lord Krishna, and what did they do to deserve it? And here's the answer. And I use the word shock because when I read it, it was the first time. I did not know that. I know maybe some of you did, but I did not know that they were Agniputris or Putras. Okay, so anyway, so that tells us who these women were and why they deserved to become the wives of the Lord. So basically, the summary of what we just read is that depending upon which personality you follow the footsteps of, the perfection results in a separate result. Whether it's Parakiya Bhav or Swakiya Bhav or any other than conjugal mode. Whomever you're following, then the perfection would be to achieve whatever that person you're following is worshipping. So that's one point. The second point is that if somebody desires to serve Krishna in the conjugal mood, but the desire is not strong enough to overcome the fear of neglecting proper etiquette in the service of the Lord. So I'm going to repeat that because it may be complicated. If someone is serving or desires to serve in the mood of conjugal love, but the desire is not strong enough to not care for the proper etiquette in the service of the Lord. In other words, what does proper etiquette mean? You want to follow the rules and regulations. That which is still on Vaidhi Bhakti. If that's the case, then that conjugal attraction will get him or grant him, I should say, which bhav? Swakiya or Parakiya? Question for you.
Neither.
Explain, please.
क्योंकि प्रभु अगर आप सिर्फ दिखावा कर रहे हैं फिर.
No, it's not dikhawa. It's not dikhawa. He's got spontaneous love in the heart, but he's worried about following all the proper etiquette, proper rules and regulations. It's no dikhawa. It's actually spontaneous love. I'm going to follow all the rules. I'm going to follow all the etiquette. Think Rukmini. What kind of wife was she? Very submissive, following all the rules and regulations, serving him the best way she could. He was her world. Right? So same thing. She was afraid to break any of the etiquettes. Satyabhama is the only one that came closest to breaking it. Although she didn't, she came close to breaking it because she would get angry with Krishna. But that was about it. Otherwise, all these wives were extremely submissive. So the point is that those who are not able to break the proper etiquette, at best they get Swakiya Bhava. Right? And as we know, the quality of Parakiya Bhava is considered superior to quality of Swakiya Bhava. So it's not the highest. Making sense? By the way, if all this gets too esoteric, let me know. We can skip some paragraphs. We don't have to get into these details.
Prabhuji, I think
So,
I
Prabhuji,
got your question wrong, but the explanation you gave is wonderful.
Thank you. Yogesh Prabhu, you were saying?
yeah, Prabhuji. So in that regards, the story of Narad Muniji and then the gopis, like when he was about to collect the dust, he went to Dwarka, and then the wives, they said, no, we don't want to give dust because Lord was having the pain.
Right.
And then he went to the, so I think then the Prakya Bhav is superior than the Sukya Bhav.
Correct. That's correct. Okay. All right. Let's read the next one.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please do.
Parenthood or friendship. Devotees who are attracted to Krishna as parents or as friends should follow in the footsteps of Nand Maharaj or Subal, respectively. Nand Maharaj is the foster father of Krishna, and out of all of the friends of Krishna, Subal is the most intimate in Brajbhumi.
Right. Who was Subal?
Subal is the one of the friends of Krishna.
Well, that's clear. That's clear. But who was he?
Brother of Radharani?
I'm sorry?
Brother of Radharani?
Well, which kind of brother? That was Sridama, you're thinking maybe. So who was Subal? Nitya Tipta, your dad's name is Subal Krishna. Okay. Anybody knows?
Krishna's friend, isn't it?
Well, of course he was Krishna's friend. It says that already. But who was he?
Uske alawa bhi kuch tha.
Sorry?
Prabhuji, was he a cousin to him,
don't remember.
Krishna?
Say again, please.
Was he a cousin to him?
To Krishna?
Yeah.
No. But he
No?
was cousin to somebody.
Radharani.
Of the
Yeah.
Uddhav.
He was the
Okay.
cousin of Radharani and real brother of Chandravali, who was a competitor of
Oh. Oh.
Radharani. And the funny thing is, he was in Radharani's camp. Even though his real sister was Chandravali, his cousin was Radharani, but he was in Radharani's camp.
Prabhuji, was he the one who was like exactly who used to look like Radharani?
Yeah, that's right. There are
That's
many
right,
pastimes
right?
with that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, there are many pastimes. Okay, all right. I just thought I'll throw that in. Okay, next paragraph.
Should I continue?
Please go ahead.
Should I continue?
Continue, that's fine.
Okay. In the development of becoming either the father or friend of the Lord, there are two varieties. One method is that one may try to become the father of the Lord directly, and the other is that one may follow the Nand Maharaj and cherish the ideal of being Krishna's father. Out of these two, the attempt to directly become the father of Krishna is not recommended. Such a development can become polluted with Maya, Mayavat, Mayavat, or the Mayavadi or the impersonal philosophy. The Mayavadis or monists think that they themselves are Krishna, and if one thinks that he himself has become Nanda Maharaj, then his parental love will become contaminated with the Mayavadi's philosophy. The Mayavadi philosophical way of thinking is offensive, and no offender can enter into the kingdom of God to associate with Krishna.
Right. Does anybody see any problem with this particular paragraph?
It's quite easy.
Uh-huh.
It's okay, Prabhuji.
Is it okay?
This one.
Should I throw in a curveball? Okay, nobody plays baseball, I guess. Should I throw a wrench? Do you understand that expression?
Googly बोलते हैं हिंदी में.
Google, हाँ, exactly. Thank you. हाँ, googly फेंके. पता नहीं लेकिन लोग cricket जानते हैं. Okay, so it says here, the attempt to directly become the father of Krishna is not recommended. What about Vasudeva? What about Prashni Garbha and Sutapa? What about Dhara and Drona, who wanted to become father of Krishna? Do you know the stories? No? Okay. So there was King Sutapa and his wife Prashni. They were performing austerities when Lord Brahma appeared. So when the Lord appeared, they said, we would like to have you as our son. And the Lord said, well, there's nobody like me. So therefore, I will come as your son 3 times. Because I cannot give you what you want. So the Lord appeared as Prashni Garbha, that's the first time, son of Prashni. Second time, he appeared as Vamandev to Kashyap Muni and Aditi. Aditi.
Aditi.
And third time, Vasudeva and Devaki. Similarly, there was a king by the name of Drona, his wife Dhara. They performed austerities to Lord Brahma and said, we want to see the pastimes of the Lord as a child. Which basically saying we want to be the father. So does that not contradict what this paragraph is saying? If not, why not? Otherwise, how do we reconcile? बड़ी मुश्किल है. So basically, the point that's being made here is that if we without qualification want to directly become the father, if you don't want to become Nanda Maharaj or Vasudeva, that is not recommended because that's Mayavad. Because everybody's same. If Nanda Maharaj is father, I can be the father. That's not what these two people were doing. And when they appeared as father, their souls merged in the soul of the eternal servant who's always the father. So Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj. So Sutapa and Prashni, they merged in the bodies of Vasudeva and Devaki. Dhara and Dror merged in the bodies of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya. So that's the difference. I don't know if that became clear or not. But basically, wanting to become Nanda Maharaj, wanting to become Vasudeva is not right. That's Mayavadi. That's saying everybody's same. So if they have father, then I'll be father. But performing austerities with the desire to have a son, that's different. Maybe I unnecessarily confused you, but that's the difference. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhu, how are you?
Good, Prabhuji. But that is what, like, what, like, whichever names you mentioned, right? Like, sorry, I did not get the names.
That's okay.
But exactly that is what was done. I mean, austerities were done to get that boon, right? Like, I mean, what is the difference? Like, so I still don't understand why it is not wanted.
So
how it
the
is.
difference is they wanted to be a father.
Correct.
They didn't want to be Nanda Maharaj. So the objection is, if somebody wants to be Nanda Maharaj, then that's Mayavad. If somebody wants to be a father, that's a desire that Krishna may fulfill or may not fulfill. That's the difference.
Okay.
They were not saying, make me Nanda Maharaj. They were not saying, make me Vasudeva. They were not saying, I'll become Vasudeva. They were not saying, I'll become Nanda Maharaj. No. That's the difference.
But then finally, they were merged into
bodies, yeah.
I mean, so just because they did not ask, they were merged and they went to that level?
No. They did ask to become the father or to enjoy the childhood pastimes. That's what they asked for.
Correct.
In order to grant them the boon, they merged in the bodies of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, or Devaki and Yashoda Maya. So they were granted their desire. But they did not become Nanda Maharaj. They did not become Vasudeva. They did not become Yashoda. They did not become Devaki. So what we're saying is, desire to become them is Mayavad.
Okay.
Desire to be father or mother is not Mayavad. That's fine. And that's the difference we're trying to make. But the position versus the person. Position of parent versus becoming the person. Becoming the person is not recommended. Desiring the position is okay.
I see. So which means we can still follow them.
That is what's being recommended.
Yeah.
Follow the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj with the desire to enjoy the parenthood. That's recommended. But to become Nanda Maharaj is not recommended.
I see. Okay.
If you're not speaking, can you please mute yourself, because there's a lot of background noise coming. Just mute yourself, please. Yes, thank you. Okay, next person.
So can I ask one more question?
Of course you can.
Aapne bola that Kashyap Muni and Aditi had Vaman Dev.
Correct.
Who do Sutapa and Prishni have?
So Sutapa and Prishni's son was known as Prashni Garbh. That was
the name.
That's the name of the Lord.
Okay.
Name of the Lord.
Okay.
So Prashni was the mother. Her son became known as Prashni Garbh. And that's Krishna.
Yes. Okay. And Prabhu, are there any pastimes of that? Because
I haven't seen any. I'm sure there are, but I haven't seen anything. Nothing mentioned in Bhagavatam.
Okay.
I'm sure one of the Puranas do that.
We just know that later in like next incarnation, they become Vasudev and Devaki.
Vasudev. Remember what's the difference between Vasudev and Vasudev?
नहीं मेरे को नहीं पता प्रभुजी, please enlighten.
Vasudev is the father's name. Vasudev is the son of Vasudev. So छोटा और बड़ा, जब आप बड़ा हो गया, that's the son. So son of Vasudev is Vasudev, Krishna.
Okay.
Vasudev is the name of the father.
प्रभु एक मंत्र है ना ऐसे, वासुदेव नहीं क्या था,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
This was like done, the shloka was done way before Krishna's birth, right? How come everybody know that time कि भगवान जी का नाम वासुदेव होगा? Like,
not only that, what pastimes will he do? What pastimes will he do? They all knew that. For example, even Ramayana, Valmiki wrote Ramayana before Lord Ramchandra appeared. Brahma wrote Ramayana with 1 billion verses before Lord Ram appeared. It's known as Trikalagya. They know what's going to happen. Even if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, who wrote Srimad Bhagavatam that we read?
Vyasadeva.
Vyasadeva. But why does he write about what Suta Goswami is going to say? How does he know what Shukadeva is going to say? They were not been born then. Right? The first canto is all full of Shukadeva and Suta Goswami. Right? But they were not even born when Vyasadeva wrote it. So it's called Trikalagya. Bhut, Bhavishya or Vartaman. Kal means time, Tri means three. Gya means who knows. Trikalagya is who knows past, present, and future. We hardly know our present. We forgotten the past, certainly don't know the future. So we are Akalagya, not just making it up.
this is in chapter 3 of Bhagavatam, first canto. Yes, I was reading.
What is, sorry?
Trikalagya.
Oh, Trikalagya. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any other questions? All right. Somebody wants to read the next paragraph, please?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
In the Skanda Purana, there is a story of an old man residing in Hastinapur, capital of the kingdom of the Pandus, who desire Krishna as his beloved son. The old man was instructed by Narada to follow in the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj, and thus he achieved success.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know who this person was, so I cannot tell you anything about who this person was and how he achieved success. I'll have to go back to Skanda Purana and see what it is saying. Okay, and now do you want to read the next paragraph? Because this is a very short one.
There is a statement in the Narayan Vayu Sattva prayers. एक बार दोबारा बोलिए प्रभु जी.
Narayan View Tava.
Oh, okay, there's no S. Okay. Narayan View Tava prayers.
No, Stava. Adhasa. Stava.
There is okay. There is a statement in Narayan View Stava prayers that person who are already engaged in thinking of the Lord as their husband, friend, father, or well-wisher are always worshipable by everyone. This spontaneous love for Krishna can be developed only by a special mercy of Krishna or his pure devotees. This process of devotional service is sometimes called Pushti Marga. Pushti means nourishing and Marga means path. Such development of sentiments nourishes devotional services to the highest standard. Thus, it is called the path of nourishment or Pushti Marga. The Vallabha Sampradaya, which belongs to the Vishnu Swami sect of Vaishnava religion, worship Krishna in this Pushti Marga. Generally, devotees in Gujarat worship Bala Krishna, under this heading of Pushti Marg.
Right. So I don't know how many of you have heard the term Pushti Marg before. It's quite famous sampradaya there. They worship the Laddu Gopal, or Bal Krishna they call it, and in the mood of a parent. But the more important point here is that the spontaneous love that we have been talking about can only be developed by the special mercy of Krishna or his pure devotee. Actually, that statement is true for any type of devotional service. By our own effort, we cannot become a devotee. And that is why the explanation about the Damodar Leela, where the rope is 2 inches short, 2 fingers short, one representing endeavor, that's what we can do. But the second is mercy of the Lord as pure devotee. So to become a devotee, we need those both things, but spontaneous love is being emphasized that can only be developed by the special mercy of Krishna or his pure devotee. Just hold on, please, 1 second. Sorry, still trying to help my wife here. So my daughter just came to get the keys. I was going to go drive to the temple and then bring her home. Okay, all right. So anyway, any questions or comments? This is the end of the chapter. Okay, then let's move to chapter 17. I'm going to make some comments before we get to chapter 17 and a warning. And the warning is that if you think last 2 chapters have been hard, you ain't seen nothing yet. 17 is very hard. And the question I have to ask you, I mean, I've asked you many times and I'm going to ask you again. Do you want to get into the nitty-gritty details, or do you want to just understand the basics, skim through it and move on? That's a decision you have to make, and I'll do accordingly.
Details, please.
Okay, it's not getting too boring or too convoluted?
No problem. No problem.
Okay.
Prabhuji, can I add something?
Please
Today's
do.
chapter was my very first, like today what we read about women develop the attitude, similarly men. Like this was my very first time learning something new, and it is absolutely enjoyable because you're definitely gaining knowledge. So
Okay.
it's wonderful the way you're explaining, Prabhuji. So thank you for doing what you're doing. So absolutely those nitty-gritties are very, very important.
Okay. Does everyone agree with her?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. All right. Then we'll do it. I just want to make sure I don't get blamed. That's all. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give some preamble before we start reading to explain some of the fundamental concepts that are involved here. Oh, yeah. I also want to make a confession. My confession today is that I'm not sure I understand everything in this chapter. So I'm going to do the best, but just so you know, I'm not sure I understand everything. Just wanted to put that out. Okay. All right. So first of all, the concept of Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari. The chapter is entitled Ecstatic Love, which is the Bhava Bhakti. Everybody remembers the 3 types of bhakti? What are the 3 types of bhakti?
Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, or Prem Bhakti.
Very good, very good. And there were 2 parts to the sadhana bhakti. Well, we covered both of. Well, we got one of them last two classes. What is the title?
Radha,
yeah. Raganuga Bhakti, yes. That's one part of sadhana bhakti. What's the other part before Raganuga?
Vaidhi Bhakti.
Vaidhi Bhakti. So sadhana bhakti has two parts, Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Now we've covered both of them in a fair amount of detail over the last 16 chapters. Right? And if somebody says, not sure we have done it, I'll go back to chapter 1 and make you go through all the 16 chapters all over again. So be careful about what you say. Okay. No, just a joke, guys. Don't get so serious. Just a joke. I won't make you repeat it. All right. So next stage is Bhava Bhakti. When you graduate from Raganuga Bhakti, you come to Bhava Bhakti. So what stages have you gone through so far? Ado Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sang, Tato Bhajan Kriya, Sat Artha Nivritti, Tato Nishtha, right? And Asakti, and then Rati, and then Bhav. So you've done all that, the deep attachment and all that. We've done all that. Now we're on Bhava Bhakti. That's how we get there. So only a Uttam Adhikari, which means a pure devotee, can get there. Right? That should be obvious. All right. There are two characteristics, what you call primary characteristic and secondary characteristic of Bhava Bhakti. By the way, the English translation of Bhava Bhakti is ecstatic love, which I think you'll see in the book in the beginning of the chapter. So what is primary characteristic of Bhava? It is something called Shuddha Sattva Vishesh Atma. And I'm going to explain what that means. Bhava is stage when Shuddha Sattva enters the devotee's heart. So your immediate question should be, what is Shuddha Sattva, Prabhuji? What are you talking about? Shuddha Sattva is what you call Krishna's Swarup Shakti, which is Krishna's internal potency, and a combination of Samvit and Hladini. Now, who knows what Samvit Shakti is? Who knows what Hladini Shakti is?
Hladini Shakti, Prabhu, is Radharani.
That's the personification.
Personification. It's a pleasure potency.
Pleasure potency. Okay, I'll accept that. Okay, sure. And what's Samvit? Is the cognizance. Krishna's ability to understand everything, know everything comes from Samvit Shakti. Okay, so there are three parts to the internal potency of Krishna. Now it's going to get really complicated, as I was saying. 3 parts. If you want to make notes, that's fine. One is called Sandhini, one is Samvit, and one is called Hladini. These are the 3 features of internal potency of Krishna. Sandhini means eternity. So Sandhini Shakti of Krishna makes him an eternal personality. Should I say it again?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sandhini, Samdhini. Sandhini Shakti of Krishna is what gives him eternity. Samvit Shakti of Krishna is what gives him omniscience. He knows everything. Hladini Shakti is the pleasure potency, as Prabhu was saying, is what he gets pleasure. By his potency, he gets the pleasure. So his ability to enjoy is coming from his Hladini Shakti.
So, Prabhu, is this Satchit Ananda Vigraha like that? Sat Chitan Ananda?
You could say that, yes.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yes. The reason I was trying to stay away from that is that we are also Satchidanand. But it's very small amount of Chitananand. Sat is there, of course.
Correct. You're right.
But remember, Nityo Nityanam, among all the eternal entities, Krishna is the eternal. So I didn't want to get into that detail, but that's why I said stay away from that. But you are correct. Your point is totally valid and correct. Okay.
Prabhu, do we personify Radharani as Krishna's Hladini Shakti?
Correct.
Do we personify Samvit or Samdhani?
No, there's no personification of that.
Okay.
Krishna himself is. That's it. Okay, and the reason...
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sorry, Mata, just to finish. The reason Hladini Shakti gets personified is so Krishna may enjoy. He needs another personality. But for Samvit and Sandhini, he doesn't need another personality. So that's himself. Okay. Sorry, Nima Mataji, go ahead.
Okay, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu, so where can we get all these definitions from which chapter?
Mataji, you have to read Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay.
They'll give you all the details.
Okay. Is it in Antalila? Like in the end?
Adi Lila.
Adi? Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other question? Okay. So the combination of Samvit and Hladini is called Shuddha Sattva or Krishna's Swarup Shakti, which is himself. Now, what happens is when a devotee, a pure devotee, comes in contact with the Shuddha Sattva, which is a Samvit Shakti and Hladini Shakti of Krishna, then he simultaneously feels nourishment and satisfaction. So pushti and tushti, which nourishment is pushti. Remember, we just talked about pushti marg, nourishment. Similarly, nourishment is pushti, satisfaction is tushti. So both pushti and tushti are achieved from contact with Shuddha Sattva of Krishna. So nourishment is coming from the Samvit potency by cognition of Krishna, knowing Krishna. And Hladini potency satisfies one by devotion for Krishna. So Samvit potency, when entering the heart of the devotee, is nourishing him by telling him about Krishna, cognition of Krishna. And Hladini potency is satisfying him by giving him devotion for Krishna. So what's that verse 10.9 in Bhagavad Gita? Mat chitta madgat prana bodhiyantas parasparam kathiyantas mam nitya tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Tushyanti cha. The satisfaction is coming from discussing Krishna Katha. That is Hladini Shakti. What does nourishment mean? More and more enthusiasm for doing that hearing, chanting process. Okay. You see sometimes devotees, even though they're very, very ill, when they start doing Krishna Katha, it's like they're brand new, totally energized people. That is pushti, nourishment. Okay. Now, Shuddha Sattva is not material. It's not material mode of goodness, but it is Lord's internal potency. We're talking about Hladini and Samvit. The function of Shuddha Sattva, by entering the heart, is to revive the living entity's dormant love for Krishna. We always talk about, we all have love of Krishna in our heart, right? Don't we? Yes, no?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
So it's dormant, something has to revive it. So Shuddha Sattva, the combination of Samvit and Hladini Shaktis, is the one that revives the dormant love for Krishna. And later on, we'll see in this chapter that just like a dormant seed on the ground, cannot grow unless it is touched by the heat from the sun's energy of heat and light. Both are necessary. The heat and the light both are necessary for that seed to grow. Similarly, that seed of prema in our heart, which is lying dormant in our heart, cannot grow without the touch of the Lord's own devotional energy that we are calling Shuddha Sattva. When we become eager to serve the Lord, then this Shuddha Sattva potency enters our heart, but not just like that, by the mercy of a pure devotee or Krishna himself. And when it touches the heart, the Shuddha Sattva touches the heart, it energizes the seed of prema. And it sprouts like an ankur. And that is why later on we'll see Rupa Goswami calls Bhava as prema ankur, the first sprout of prema. Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita translates as preliminary stage of prema. Now tell me, how confused are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, 9, 9.5, 9 3/4?
Very confused.
Okay. Ask me a question then.
There's no question if I don't understand, Prabhu.
Okay, so then don't worry about it, because like I said, it can get very esoteric. Just understand it simply that there's this potency of the Lord that enters the heart of a devotee, that makes the dormant seed of love of Krishna sprout. And that's how the love develops. So Bhava Bhakti is the first sprout of prema. That's all you really need to understand. Others detail. Now that much do you understand, Mataji? Or is there a question on that? Let me break it down further. Point number 1. We all have love of Krishna in our heart, but it's lying there dormant. Any questions about that point?
No question, Prabhu.
No,
No
let
question.
Nima Mataji answer it. Let Nima Mataji answer it.
Yeah, no question, Prabhu. I can
Okay.
understand that.
Okay, second point. We need, in the case of any seed on the ground, we need water, we need the sun for its light and heat, for it to sprout. Any questions about that?
No, Prabhu.
Okay. Third point, that sun energy, the heat and the light, is coming from what we're calling Vishuddha Sattva, the combination of cognitive energy and cognitive potency and pleasure potency of Krishna. Any questions about that?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, that's third point. So when that enters the heart of the devotee, the seed becomes a sprout. And that's the first sprout of prema. It's called Bhava. Now tell me if there's any confusion.
No, that's perfect. I can understand that much.
Okay. Everybody?
Prabhu, I lost the point there. Sun and light, you said, is coming from Samvit and Hladini potency,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Because
And
you're too fast. I'm writing it down too fast.
Sure.
Sorry,
And
Prabhu.
No, that's fine, Mataji. That's perfectly all right. And the water is the chanting process.
Wow,
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
This was so beautifully explained. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All that you explained before in these 4
Prabhu.
points, everything was clear.
Good.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's like, it seems like we are in kindergarten. I'm in kindergarten, but I understood.
Good. I'm very happy, Mataji. Thank you. Anybody else? Bolo.
One more question. When you first start explaining, you use the word Shuddha Sattva Vishesh.
Yes, Visheshatma.
Vishesh Atma, okay.
Yes.
And right now we use the word Vishuddha Sattva.
No, I said Vishuddha in the beginning also. Maybe it didn't come out. Vishuddha Sattva Visheshatma.
Oh, uska naam hi aise hai.
Naam
So
hi aise.
it's not Shuddha Sattva, it's Vishuddha Sattva.
Well, so Vishuddha is the same thing.
Oh, it's the same.
There's no difference.
Okay.
You can call it Shuddha Sattva, you can call it Vishuddha Sattva, same thing.
अब तुष्टि पुष्टि में चीजें चेंज हो जा रही, तो विशुद्ध और शुद्ध में क्यों नहीं हो पा रही?
बहुत फर्क है, बहुत फर्क है.
हाँ, I mean like, okay. हिंदी भी कंफ्यूजिंग हो सकती है.
It's like we say,
इंग्लिश को बोलते हैं, इंग्लिश कंफ्यूजिंग है.
हाँ, it's like we say खालिस घी and निखालिस घी. Same thing, pure.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. Now, so how does Vishuddha Sattva or Shuddha Sattva enter the heart? So as we said, Shuddha Sattva is a combination of Samvit, the knowledge potency, and Hladini potency, which is the pleasure potency of the Lord. Right? Samvit gives the knowledge, Hladini gives the pleasure through the devotional potency of the Lord. Right? So the knowledge potency enters into the heart and empowers it to perceive and to know Krishna. That's what cognitive means. Cognizance means, right? So it is the cognitive potency that allowing the heart to perceive and know Krishna. I'm going to pause and see if that makes sense. And that's the role of cognitive potency. It allows you to understand, allows to know. So it allows us to know and perceive Krishna. Is that correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
And the Hladini potency, the pleasure potency, also descends into the heart of the devotee and empowers the heart to become, no, let me say it differently. It empowers the heart to manifest the blissful love of Krishna. It's the pleasure potency. So it gives rise to bliss, but it empowers the heart to feel that bliss. It empowers the heart to feel that blissful love of Krishna. So two things. Shuddha Sattva is a combination of what two potencies? Somebody say it.
Samvit or Hladini.
Very good. Samvit is the knowledge-giving potency. So it's giving us the knowledge of Krishna to allow us to perceive and know Krishna. Clear? What is Hladini Shakti? Pleasure-giving, right? So it's allowing Krishna to feel the pleasure. It's allowing the devotee to feel the pleasure of the blissful love of Krishna. Right? So now the devotee knows Krishna and feels the bliss of love. And that is Bhava Bhakti. And when through the combination of these two potencies, devotee begins to fully relish Krishna as the supreme object of love. And that is Bhava Bhakti, awakening of love of Krishna. Now, is that clear or is that too complicated?
It's clear.
Clear.
Okay. So it's about two potencies allowing us to know Krishna and feel the bliss of loving Krishna. And they enter the heart through the mercy of the Lord or the pure devotee of the Lord. So if we break it down that way, it becomes easy to understand. Okay. Now, so preliminary stage of love means it's the budding stage. Right?
Yes.
Another way to look at it is the like the ray of the sun. So there's one small ray. It's not the whole sun, but it is part of the sun. So it's also known, the Sanskrit term is Prem Surya Ansha. Prem means love, Surya means sun, Ansha means a ray or a part. So Prem Surya Ansha means a ray of the sun of Prem. So you can think of Bhava. Can you please mute yourself if you're not muted because this noise is coming. So Bhava is like the sun ray. Prema is like the sun itself. So clearly sun and the sun rays are qualitative, not different, right? But there's this distinction in the intensity, the quantitative intensity. A ray of the sun is not as intense as the sun itself. right? So bhava is not as intense as prema is, but bhava is the onset of prema, as dawn is the onset of the day. When the first rays of dawn appear, one knows that the full light of sun will soon arise. Similarly, when one achieves bhava, the full light of prema will manifest very quickly. So bhava is known as the preliminary stage of prema. It's the beginning of prema. And the example of sun ray and sun is very apt because it explains how, especially if you look at the example of the dawn. First rays of the dawn appear, you know the day is about to come. The sun will rise surely. Right? So we can say when we get to bhava, we will get to the prema soon. That's the primary characteristic. Any questions or comments on that?
Prabhuji, question.
Bolo.
Once a devotee reaches the stage of bhava, is there a chance of falling down, or
yes, there still is.
Until you come to the stage of prema?
Correct. And the difference is that Krishna is not holding you yet.
Okay.
You are holding to Krishna. So the famous example that Prabhupada used to give, the monkey and the cat, or the kitten, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey grabs onto the stomach or the back of the mother monkey. But as the monkey jumps around, the baby may fall. But the cat puts the kitten in her mouth. Now it's holding the kitten. No way to let go of kitten. And that's the difference. I also read somewhere that there's still some minute amount of anarthas left in Bhava Bhakti, up to the stage of Bhava Bhakti. So it can cause a downfall.
Okay.
Very rare, but it can happen.
Very rare. Yeah. But it can still happen.
Yeah. But Prema Bhakti,
no. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So then secondary characteristic. There are three of them, three secondary characteristics. One is the softening of the heart. Second is, why did I say three? No, there's only two. I'm sorry. There's only two. Softens the heart and it gives rise to various tastes that we'll talk about in a second. So softening of the heart and giving rise to various tastes. Okay, let's talk about softening of the heart first. Softening heart basically means that one is easily moved or charged by emotions. So a very emotional person, you know. And it's actually described in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 3, text 24, which says, certainly that heart is steel-framed, which in spite of chanting the holy name, with focus, with concentration, does not change with ecstasy, or doesn't change when the ecstasy is felt. The tears don't come in the eyes. The hairs don't stand on end. Right? That means this heart is not easily moved. That means this heart is still stone heart or steel heart. So softening of the heart means the ecstasy is felt, tears come in the eyes, hairs stand on end. But that is not same as sahajya. These are natural things. That's not show-off things. Okay? So ecstasy, or as I was saying before, bhava, is the first symptom of pure love, the preliminary but first symptom. Okay, anyway, so is that part clear?
Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm seeing everybody's face and everybody is looking so puzzled. किसी के सर पे हाथ है, किसी के मुंह में हाथ है.
So this is why, you either ask me a question or say, Prabhuji, nothing is making sense, so stop it. Or use different words.
नहीं, सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, समझ आती है, सुनने में अच्छा लग रहा है, समझ आ जाती है, पर बाद में याद रहे कि नहीं, ये नहीं कह सकते.
वो कोई बात नहीं, वो as long as you just get the concepts, you don't need to remember the details.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But
माता जी ने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा है, सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है ना, कुछ कुछ पता लगता है, लेकिन वो याद रहने वाली चीज नहीं है हमारे लिए.
Don't worry about
हमारे लिए नहीं है.
Don't worry, you don't remember it. Just understand the concept. So for example,
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत अच्छा.
Soften the.
I wonder where
प्रभु जी
you
भाव आ रहा है,
learned
थोड़ा सा भाव आता है.
That's good.
फिर वो खत्म हो जाता है.
प्रभु जी, आपने कहाँ से सब ये सीखा?
हम तो पेट से सीख के आए थे सब.
अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
I know.
हरे कृष्णा माताश्री, पिताश्री ने बहुत सारे बादाम की बोरी खा चुके हैं. ठीक है, इसीलिए इनको हर चीज याद है.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. देखिए, certain concepts, if you try to understand the concept, then it stays with you. You try to memorize the details, you won't remember them.
वो जन्म से लगेगा भगवान जी के चरणों में, इसलिए सब कुछ.
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, तो मजाक कर रहा था.
मुझे आपने खुद बताया कि आप जन्म से घर में भक्ति.
That was just joke. But the point is, we should try to understand the fundamental concept, and then it stays with you. It's like we'll never forget 2 + 2 = 4. We'll never forget. Right? Because fundamental concept. So same thing. If you look at this as concepts or try to understand the concept, you won't forget. But details, who cares? If you don't remember the details, don't worry about it.
Good to know.
Yeah, because nobody's going to take an exam.
Yeah.
You're not going to ever apply the details, but the concepts you will apply. So just worry about the concepts.
Correct.
And always ask yourself, so how do I apply this knowledge in my life? And that's called realization. So yeah, it's hard. That's why I said right in the beginning of my starting chapter 17, that it is going to be hard. There's no question about it. And that's why I keep hoping that you will control the details. It's too much detail. Hath uthak bolo, Prabhuji chhod do, aage badho. So then I will know.
Then we'll know that, then we think that we are missing out something if you don't give us the details. That's what I feel.
I know.
We understand, we don't want to miss out on anything.
I understand that.
Prabhuji, how I am taking it is, कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा तो अच्छे संस्कार बन रहे हैं.
That's true also.
Yeah, right. वो तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. जो कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा तभी भी कोई अच्छी संस्कार बन रहे हैं. हमारे इंप्रेशंस अच्छे करने जरूरी हैं to learn something.
You're making Padmakshi Mataji yawn already. So I think she had enough.
It's going beyond my head, Prabhu.
That's what I'm saying. This is why I mean, no use talking about details that go above your head. Move on to the next topic and at least you can retain something. Right? And so that's why I keep saying, please tell me, and that's perfectly all right. The irony of this is, look at it this way. I probably understood 1% of the details. So I'm telling you that 1%. So by the time it gets to you, it's probably 0.1%. So, it's just one of those things. But fortunately, and this is why I keep coming back. As long as you can understand the concepts, you're fine. But that's all that counts. Details are not important. Just remember the concepts.
So according to Prabhuji, this is only 1%.
It's probably I'm probably exaggerating. I probably got only 0.1%.
No, he has gone to 0.1%.
I'm just saying, I didn't understand everything. I don't understand everything. I just try to grab the concepts. That's it.
We know you understand, Prabhuji.
Everything.
We know you understand.
Everything.
Just a little bit. Sorry, Nima Mataji?
Probably I don't even understand. Like this chapter is so hard, so difficult.
That's right. And this is why I was asking in the beginning. You just want to skim through it and then don't worry. Just read whatever it says and move on to the next chapter. But the problem is all chapters subsequent will be pretty close to this. And that's why they stop at chapter 19 in Bhakti Shastri. And we can do the same thing, we move something else.
But Prabhu, the way I look at it is like if Rupa Goswami has written, that means he wants us to read and understand these concepts.
He wants at least some of us to read and
yeah.
understand. Yes, that is true.
And Prabhuji, even though I am a... Sorry, Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhu, if we don't hear from you, okay, if we don't hear from you, probably we'll never hear it, okay? So we better stick to you. But nobody will be that good
thank you, Mataji.
to
But
us.
there's a whole, what do you call it? Bhakti Shastri course on Nectar of Devotion.
Mataji, that's why we call him Shiksha Guru.
Okay. Anyway, so let me finish what I was going to say, then we'll stop. It's 9:31 already. So just one more minute and we'll stop. So that was the first characteristic. Second characteristic was giving rise to various tastes. And taste, think of taste as a devotional desire that develops in the heart when we reach the stage of Bhava. So what is a devotional desire? One is called desire to achieve Krishna. And the Sanskrit word would be prapti, abhilasha. Prapti means desire to achieve. Abhilasha means desire. Prapti, abhilasha means desire to achieve. And then, of course, we are talking about Krishna. Second is anukulya abhilasha, which means desire to please Krishna with various services. So desire to achieve Krishna, desire to please Krishna. And last one is sauhard abhilasha, which means desire to be close at heart with Krishna. So three desires, devotional desires: desire to achieve Krishna, desire to please Krishna, and desire to be close to Krishna.
Close to Krishna.
Close to Krishna, like Krishna's heart. Your heart is close to Krishna's heart. So that's the secondary characteristic of Bhava Bhakti. So in Bhava Bhakti, your heart softens, you feel the ecstasy, and develop the three desires: to achieve Krishna, to please Krishna, and to be close to Krishna. The whole 17th chapter is about this. So if somehow you've gotten through this, probably the reading of the chapter would be a lot easier. But without this base, it would be very difficult to go through chapter 17. So it may have been difficult, but even if you got 1% of what we talked today, it'll really help you when you go through the rest of the chapter 17. Okay. Any other?
Prabhuji, what's the Sanskrit word you said for to please Krishna, like to achieve Krishna's prapti? Some anukulya something you said. What is that?
Anukulya abhilasha. So prapti abhilasha. All abhilasha is desire. Abhilasha means desire.
Okay.
First abhilasha is prapti, to achieve. Second is anukulya, which is to please. Third is sauhard, which is to be close to Krishna.
Close to her.
So abhilasha means desire. So all of them are abhilasha. Prapti, anukulya, and sauhard.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I think it's 9:34. We'll stop. If there are no other questions or comments.
माताजी आ गए नहीं प्रभु जी?
नहीं, वो राशि गई है लेने.
अच्छा अच्छा.
We'll take another.
थोड़ी देर लगेगी.
5 minutes. हाँ.
ठीक.
इसका मतलब राशि आई हुई है.
राशि आई.
Prabhu, I have a question from Bhagavad Gita, which is not related to what we are learning now. You know that 7 point, I don't know which one. There is this luminous and phenomenal. Which one is spiritual and which one is material, Prabhu? I forgot the verse. You know what I'm talking about? You should know Bhagavad Gita by heart by now. No, I'm not accepting that answer. What does numinous mean and what does phenomenal mean?
I'll have to check. I don't know. I need to know the context. Let me.
Acha, wait. Ek minute. I'll give you 1 minute, Prabhu.
Sure. Okay, so I mean, if it's out of context, I just want to let everybody know that if you want to leave, that's fine, because it's something totally out of context. And I don't want to hold you up. The class is finished. So as for one chakal, unless you're interested to hear what she's asking, you're free to go. Nandimukhi, can I call you later today?
Yes, Pitashri, yes.
Okay, after the class, I'll call you.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, it's the second one, Prabhu. Jnanam teham sa vijnanam idam vakshyami aseshatah yajnatva neha. I want to know just the word meaning of the word phenomenal and numinous.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so phenomenal is material.
Okay, Prabhu. And numinous is spiritual, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
No,
Thank
sorry,
you.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I said the other way. Other way, sorry. Phenomenal is the transcendental world and numinal is the material world. Sorry, I got mixed up.
Okay, now it's clear, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to talk.
No, not at all. Not at all. Sometimes I need to see the context before I know.
Yeah. Okay. I just assume Prabhu knows everything and we can't accept anything else from you. No?
No, I don't know anything. That's why I was saying 1%. I'm a 1% man. Out of 707, that's it.
Very humble.
Even that is 1%.
Everything.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Krishna.